Back to another show here, the Life School Masterclass Show with your host, Elona Lapari. I'm honored to have another amazing guest all the way from Jersey to Brooklyn, New York today, Ron Reich. And we're going to talk about organizational success and leadership success, how to build a company that's streamlined, how to ensure that your operations are nice and healthy, and of course, how to ensure that we're scaling the company at the next level. So, Ron, thanks so much for coming on here, and nice to connect with you from all the way to Jersey there.
Oh, Elona, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's always my honor. Thank you so much in advance for your time and expertise. I find that that's very important to be able to appreciate that regarding one another because time is very important. And I'm sure you have a lot of wisdom gathered throughout your personal professional experience that you will share with us. So let's dive right in today's topic, giving people the right nuggets of information around organizational and leadership success. What is your approach to this topic today?
You know, there's so much to it, and there can be so much to unpack. I think that the most important thing for any organization or any leader to know before diving into anything is to realize what's the reason we're in business? What is the reason this company exists? And really where I go with that very simply is what's our mission? And there needs to be a very clear, very concise mission statement for any organization if they are going to have sustained business success. And I say that for so many different reasons. Number one, the employees need to know what's the reason we're here. What rationale do I have to come to work every day? And additionally, the mission statement needs to be the guiding light for decisions that the organization makes. And I have seen companies make this mistake time and time again, and it really, really costs them.
Mm. I love that you started with the bigger purpose, mission, vision, and values because those are so important. And sometimes I don't know what happens to us as entrepreneurs as we go through the journey of scaling our companies. Sometimes we feel like it's one of those beginning exercises of like, who's your market? What's my purpose? What am I in business of? What makes me different? Right. And I have also found myself that through the evolution of me scaling my own company and the work that I've done, is something that evolves with us. So it's definitely something to keep top of mind because the mission might really evolve with where you're heading, with market conditions, with a lot of outside factors. So
Yes.
going back to that exercise is
Yeah.
definitely a must because it's just like anything. Why are we doing what we're doing unless we understand the bigger purpose behind, building a company and the impact we're creating? Then how can we align the right team members, the right leadership, and all that those staff members that we need to be able to scale a company that is an asset that is independently operating beyond its owner. So let's go into leadership. So what are some of those things that we need to consider around leadership, and how do we ensure that we have the right people on board to retain the right people and then make them, I guess, connected to the mission and vision of the company as we create a healthy culture and a healthy organization?
I think there are a number of different responses within that. Number one, again, we have to have the mission, and it has to be crystal clear. And you can hire around that mission. There are questions you can ask potential employees, potential colleagues around the mission. And it's also critical, just like you were talking about, Alona, that we need to have the values in place and we can interview around or for those values to make sure that there is alignment. I was with an organization all of 6 weeks, and I knew very, very quickly, and so did they. This is a mistake. We just do not belong together. And I mean, I take a big part of that hit. They need to take a big hit too, because the mission wasn't clear, the values weren't clear, and as the values became clearer to me, once having come on board, I don't want to be a part of this. I want to get the heck out of here, and I'm not kidding. I'm really not. And so,
Mhm.
again, the mission statement needs to be there. The values need to be there, and then we have to hire the right people for alignment so that we can get the organization itself off the ground.
Mm. Oh, that's so crucial. And now we've gone even deeper to the other next fundamental piece, which is values, because, kudos to you for sharing that story. And I do the same thing. I have a radar and a processing system to make sure that everybody that aligns, whether they're clients or team or community or people that I have in my space, are people that we can align within our values, because
Right.
communication becomes very, very out of whack when we don't have that alignment, right? Because we're looking for different things, and it can never be a healthy, sustainable win-win partnership down the line, as both parties attempt to add value in their own ways. This is also true with a lot of strategic partnerships that we do in order to grow and scale our businesses. I think it's very important to have the courage to say no, and that comes with some inner work, because sometimes we have, some stuff that comes up as humans for that. So yeah, I think that's important. Ron, I'm very curious. Have you seen patterns of pain points and problems that you have experienced in your work that kind of repeat, rinse and repeat, that you could share with us?
Yeah, I think interestingly, one of the activities I like to do with leadership classes, very simply, is split them into small groups, put flip charts up on the wall, and just have them just brainstorm what your role is as a leader. Which is what are the top line things you need to do as a leader. And as we debrief it, what it always comes down to, always, is look at the list, everybody. How much technical information is on that list? And they'll look at it and realize next to none. There's probably maybe 5%. The rest of it is human. And I was like, that's right. What does that tell you about your role as a leader? You need to be human. You need to establish relationships with people. And I think, Alona, I think the one thing the one pattern that I'm seeing is when I talk about relationships with people, I think a lot of times leaders and others too are thinking to themselves, well, relationships, that means I need to get to know Ron. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What's your family like? And that's all well and good. And that is a very important thing, to get to know your people personally. Equally as important with relationships are the professional relationships you establish. What are your goals? What are what do you really want to do? Where do you want to go within this organization? What are your strengths? What are your limitations? And just everything along those lines, because the better we know each other, the research is clear, the more effectively we work with each other. And I think leaders tend to lose sight of that. We get so busy, and it's just do this, do this. What's the next market? When's our next meeting? And it's like, wait a minute. How well do we know each other so we have the right people in the right seats doing the right things?
Oh, I love it. We talked about the next fundamental, which is all about human relationships. And I love that you spoke to the pain point of things tend to then fall into the transactional mode of do, 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 right? And we have trouble with aligning the being with people, healthy communication, getting to the core of what is their worldview, what is their perspective, what are their needs, right?
Right.
So that we go into this more holistic approach so that we can harmonize, because obviously there needs to be the doing, right? Because they have their roles and responsibilities, and people understand that. But I
Yes.
think I've also seen firsthand this misalignment between, this other side of the human relationships, healthy relationships, and making sure that that's not aligning that, because that's not a waste of time. For the longest, I was also programmed on the other end, very strategic, very result driven. People like, let's do the next thing, because there's always something to do. I mean, especially if you're scaling a company, right? But unless you balance it with this, people just don't feel like you care about them personally as well. And there's a disconnection in the connection. And it's very easy to fall in transactional relationship rather than, whole connection. And that, of course, by the byproduct of that is always more productivity, retention.
That's right.
People stay longer. They want to learn and grow with you because they're now emotionally connected to you. That's a very important piece, that it's a journey for people that maybe don't speak the language of the emotional intelligence piece, but it's something that, we all can grow within as leaders. And we will start to see the ROI, because sometimes, when it comes to driven leaders, the only language that unfortunately sometimes we speak is like the ROI of my time and my
That's right.
investment. There is ROI, and it's definitely going to be much, much more healthy and positive in the long term ROI of the growing and scaling of the business as well. Ron, tell me a little bit around your purpose, some of the most meaningful moments that led you to the work that you're doing. What is your story? How did you get here? Why are you passionate about this work?
I got here, so many years ago, and it's an interesting story. It's long, and I'm going to make it quick. I was working in HR when I first began my career, and in the banking industry. So many years ago, all the big banks were getting swallowed by the other banks and just everything else. Very long story short, a number of us decided to start an HR consulting firm. We did. We stayed in business for about 5 years and decided to close the doors. When we closed the doors, I'm thinking to myself, where do I want to go? What's the next step in the journey? And I liked HR. I wasn't passionate about it. And I always had in the back of my mind, I'd love to get into training and development. I think that would be a lot of fun and I'd be good at it. I got a telephone call from a recruiter in Dallas, Texas, who would not tell me how he found me. I've got an opportunity with Toshiba. It's the exact opposite of what you are. They want somebody who has a lot of training, some HR. You have a lot of HR and just a little bit of training. You need to get them to flip their competencies. I interviewed with them, they flipped their competencies, and I have not looked back since. And I say proudly, too, I am really good at what I do. And I don't mean that to sound arrogant. I don't mean to sound like, hey, I'm the cat's meow. I'm good at it. I love it. And I know it makes it, I know I make a difference because I've had people come back to me over the years. Wow, you have no clue what you have done for me. And that's my purpose. It really, really is. It's just to help people, to help organizations be their best.
Yeah, there you go. The positive impact when you hear it from the people that you have affected. That's the fuel that keeps us going for sure as entrepreneurs. And I love the marriage of both, right? The HR, the human resource, and also the training and development, because both of those definitely go hand in hand. As some of the training and development is more of the systems, and now we also have the human resource, and combining the two makes for a really healthy organizational structure and company. Ram, thank you so much ahead of time. We've actually reached the end of our episode. I'm sure me and you can go deeper into any of these topics. However, this was just a great introduction to the work you do and also the value add. I thank you ahead of time in behalf of my audience for your time and expertise sharing today, and just speaking from the heart and speaking behind the purpose of why you do what you do and just your unique perspective and experience, because I really value everyone's journeys and experiences. We all can talk about similar topics, but our outlook of life is different. Our gifts are different. Our talents are in different spots, and we all can learn and grow from one another. So I highly appreciate that. To end this interview and to drive the audience to the next step in our conversation of where they can further connect with you and just get that conversation started or be in each other's worlds, because networks with aligned values, just like we talked about when we started this interview, is definitely the biggest benefit that we get to cherish as entrepreneurs because of the human relationship aspect. A final message that I would like for you to share with our audience is what is the one most impactful leadership lesson that you have learned that has created the biggest impact for you personally and also for the work that you're doing with your clients?
Um, Elona, I'm going to go back and say what we were talking about earlier because it's been my direct experience. The most important aspect for me build solid relationships on every level, both professionally and personally. I have found over the years, the better I know people, the more effectively I work with them, the more results we produce together, and we develop some fine friendships as well.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And where is it that we can further connect with you?
Probably the best way to do it is via LinkedIn. Just very simply, my name, Ron Reich, REICH, RLB Training and Development is the name of the company. Please feel free to reach out. I welcome the chance to have a chat.
All right, definitely take the next step and further connect with Ron. We're all connected there, and this live will also go live there. So if you'd like to maybe share it with your network, I highly always appreciate any support that you give the show, so we can bring amazing people just like Ron today, and share amazing wisdoms to help you kind of connect the next dots in your journey, right? Because we're all in our own unique journey trying to figure out the things that we need to do to move the right things forward. So I hope that our conversation today really served for that. And never forget to subscribe, review, and share this interview wherever you're watching it, whether it's our socials or our podcast platforms. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you so much again for being here, and I'll see you next time with another amazing guest and interview. Bye, everybody. Are
Good.
you experiencing these two main gaps in your company and your business? Inconsistent cash flow and clients, and also scalability issues. Maybe you've reached your maximum capacity with your current business model and the way that you're operating your business now, and you are really experiencing burnout and no time freedom in your business. But you're not sure what to do to be able to scale your company to the next level so that your company also becomes an independent asset outside of you, so that it can become an asset if maybe later you would like to sell your company or build a legacy company that really does more good in the world. For my dear podcast listeners, I'm offering a free 30-minute discovery call where I will intentively listen to what is it that you've built in your company thus far, and then offer my insight around some of the gaps that I can hear from the main gaps that we talked about at the beginning of this conversation that you might be experiencing. And I would love to offer some insight around my experience on what might some of those gaps be, and ways to further support you in the future of the scaling of your purpose and profit, so that absolutely you can do more good in the world and your company can be independent of its founder and owner and become an asset that also creates amazing momentum out there in the world. For a limited time, I would love to offer my 30-minute time on my calendar for a free discovery call. You can just grab a time on the QSR code right here on the left hand side of the screen, and grab a time so we can further connect. Again, thank you so much for being loyal listeners to the podcast, and also for always supporting the show. I'll see you with another episode and another amazing conversation.